My name is Lea Gillespie Gant, and I am the author of the children's picture book, Never Say Goodbye, published by Thomas Nelson Publishing in Nashville. I'm from Vardaman. I'm a Vardaman girl. From kindergarten through 12th grade, I was happy to call myself a Vardaman Ram and wear those colors of blue and white. I also grew up working in those sweet potato fields in Vardaman, which made me very proud, and it still does. Never Say Goodbye to the Bunnies became a book because as much as we would wish it to not be so, there are times in life when children have to deal with grief. A time like that came to my little girl when she was just 6 years old. Anna was in first grade at Vardaman Elementary. Her teachers were Miss Brown and Miss May Edmondson, two very wonderful ladies. And during Anna's first year in school there, I lost my mother, which meant that Anna lost her precious grandmother. Anna was used to being with my mother every day. And suddenly, when she could no longer be with my mother, Anna began to really struggle. That was my first clue that children grieve. Oh, yes, they grieve during those times. But they grieve in ways that are different than what the ways that adults grieve. I had my own grief process. Anna, as a 6-year-old, had her own process. And I became aware very quickly that my greatest job during those days and weeks and months that followed, my greatest job was to stay right with Anna as she stepped her way through the stages that she needed to go through. The title itself, Never Say Goodbye, actually came from Anna. During the days, she would go to school, do her normal first grade things, and at night, when it was bedtime and things were quiet, she would get sad and she would want to talk about my mother. And one of those nights, I was tucking her in and she decided she wanted to talk again about my mother. So we did. We talked for a long time. Anna cried, I cried, and at the end of our conversation, Anna made a statement. And it was true. My mother left us very quickly. It was quite unexpected. Anna said, "But Mommy, I didn't get to say goodbye." And I thought, yeah, that's the way it happened with our family. And it happens that way with a lot of families. We don't get that time to prepare. We don't get those last conversations. We just are faced with sudden loss, and it's not good. So in about 15 minutes after I got out of sleep, 15 minutes was all it took to write the manuscript for this book, because we were living this book at that time. And I actually asked these questions. She actually voiced these emotions. We lived it, and I wrote it. It took 5 years to find a publisher that wanted to touch a children's book about grief. Thomas Nelson, in all of the years that they had been in business, had never published a children's book on grief. This is the first one that they took. And I discovered, as it went around the world, that it was time. It was time for families like mine to walk with their children closely and listen closely and be quiet when we needed to just let them have their space. It was time for the world to discuss how our children grieve. And I will always be thankful that that God took something so painful in my life, in our family, in the heart of my little girl, and turned it into something that could help so many other people. As I said, I'm a Bartman girl. I don't live there now. I live in this great Smoky Mountains of East Tennessee. But my family's still in Bartman. And funny thing is, I was thinking about all of my days of taking Anna to the library in Bartman there. When I grew up in Bartman, there was no library in Bartman. It had not been built. But we did have the bookmobile. And it would come to Bartman once a week and park on Main Street and open those doors, and we would all climb up into that bookmobile and go through those shelves of books and choose wonderful things to read. And I love the bookmobile so much that the year I was 10, the summer I was 10, I actually read so many books, checked them out from the bookmobile and read them. So many that I won the Calhoun County reading contest for that summer. And that has always been one of my happiest Bartman memories, that wonderful summer of 10-year-old reading. As I said, I love to read, I love to write, and I hope you do too. And I hope that we together keep creating books that bring happiness, joy, and comfort to those around us and to the world. Thank you.